Hello there. I am back. It's another Bernie show presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Unless you didn't know, in case you didn't know, I'm Bernie Miklasz. Been writing, talking about St. Louis sports since 1985. I've been in this business for more than 40 years. I was a lead sports columnist at Post-Dispatch at STL Today for 26 years. Today, I am working at my happy new home, STL Sports Central. I do 5 videos each week, 5 columns each week. And I have fun by hopping on the Randy Carricker Show every Friday morning. I also appear frequently on KMOX, either in the noon hour or in the 5 o'clock hour, talking Cardinals baseball. I joined Katie Wu on the Cardinal Territory video podcast. And for many years, I've done what we believe the numbers show, a very popular Seeing Red Cardinals podcast with my friend Will Leach. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. Now, let's get to the topic of the day. I'm turning my attention to the final 65 games of the St. Louis Cardinals regular season, and I will be watching and monitoring certain individuals who can shape the outcome of this regular season for the Cardinals, and maybe even beyond that. So without further ado, here is my watch list, and I'm going to go with 10. The first 2 or 3 items will be longer, but I'll also be doing some quick hit type stuff later on. So stick with me. We'll go through all 10 of these. I think I've covered it all. You may have some other thoughts on your own. That's cool. Put them in the comment section, right? Put them in the comment section. All right. Watch list number 1, John Mozeliak, of course. President of baseball operations, who is winding down his career as a front office executive for the Cardinals in a career that where he's been in place here since the early 2000s. I'm not going to rehash the whole tiresome should they buy or sell topic here, because we've got plenty of time to do that closer to the July 31st trade deadline. It hasn't made any decisions yet, so what's the point of talking about that? What I want to know is this: can John Mozeliak do what's right for the team? Will he overestimate the talent on hand and wrongly conclude the Cardinals are a serious wild card contender when all the signs say otherwise? Will he make a realistic assessment of the roster and act accordingly? Will he get his team some help if they need it, if he thinks they can make the playoffs? There's a lot of questions here. It comes down to this for me. This trade deadline really is more about 2025. It's more than, I should say, just 2025. This trade deadline will give Mozeliak a final chance to shape the Cardinals for a stronger future and shape them in a way where perhaps they can maximize their win total this year without doing any type of damage to the future. Can he pull this off? Does Mozeliak have the necessary creativity and the bold attitude to think outside the box and have pull off something that can make the team better, a little stronger for the final 2+ months of 2025, or also do that in a way that leaves them in better shape for 2026? Well, yeah, it's certainly possible to be a buyer and a seller at the same time. I just don't know if Mo has it in him to pull off something like that. Maybe he should turn it over to Chaim Bloom. Number 2 on my watch list. Oh, wait a minute. Speaking of Chaim Bloom, here he is. Earlier this season, in an interview with MLB Network, you may remember, because I wrote about it, talked about it here, Mozeliak kind of volunteered something out of the blue without being prompted, saying that he'll probably hand off to Chaim Bloom in August or September. That would put Bloom in place as the new president of baseball operations, ahead of schedule, I guess you could say. And I welcome any head start opportunity given to Chaim Bloom. Get a jump on the planning for 2026, right? And along those lines, I'm going to be watching for signs that tell us Bloom is officially beginning to make decisions. They won't say he's making the decisions because they've been kind of concealing some of that stuff all year long. But I'm going to be looking for signs, if he in fact is appointed to office, he's promoted to president of baseball operations, sometime in August, let's say, and really early September. What are the kind of things I'd be looking for? Well, first of all, it's past the trade deadline, so that rules that out, unless Mo really wants Chaim Bloom to get involved with the trade deadline. But what I'm going to be monitoring, all right, what happens? Okay, you see the Cardinals all of a sudden designating a hitter or pitcher for assignment, perhaps unexpectedly, or they promote a prospect or two, or maybe even more. I doubt that, but maybe even more from the minors. I would like all these things because it's never too early to start putting the past away and focusing on the future. So I'm going to be looking for some signals that Chaim Bloom's starting to make some moves. Now, I would maintain that he's sort of been in the making the moves process already. Bloom is something of a ghost in 2025 because his job was to resurrect, revive, restore the Cardinals' hideous player development system with all its technological shortcomings and lack of facilities and lack of modern thinking, all that stuff. And by all accounts, he's done a fantastic job of that. But do we really think he has not paid attention to the big club all season? Do we really think he hasn't had some conversations with Cardinals employees? After all, the man's going to be putting together his own front office. So I would think he'd be meeting with people and picking their brain and seeing what they think about this, what they would do with that, because he's going to have to make some decisions. And the earlier that he makes them, the better, right? Gets them to where they want to go as far as hitting that ground running at the beginning of the offseason. See, and I know even though we can't see him because he's a ghost. He doesn't speak publicly about the Cardinals, but we know he's there, and we know that his presence already matters. I've been saying this all along. Those of you who watch me regularly here on the Bernie Show, I've been saying this all along, and I certainly still believe it. Bloom has been more involved in baseball decisions more than we realize, absolutely more than we realize. Now, don't get me wrong. Chaim Bloom is an honorable man. He respects boundaries. He respects protocol. He would do nothing. He's an honorable man. Everyone talks about his ethics and principles and all that stuff. He would never do anything to undermine Mozeliak. But if Mozeliak has told him, we're going to about to have this draft, why don't you sit down with Randy Flores and, just kind of think about, to compare notes, let's say. You don't think that that's taken place at all? Really? Here's what people fail to realize. No, he isn't making the decision. He isn't on a power kick. And there's no problems with the Bloom-Mozeliak relationship. None. So don't pay attention. I mean, you probably will because people are drawn to the headlines, but don't pay attention to some of the garbage about Mo and Bloom that is being flung out there in the blogosphere by irresponsible clickbait hoes, okay? Stop it. Do yourself a favor. Don't pollute your brain. Bloom has never tried to undercut Mozeliak, but one would have to be incredibly stupid to believe these men don't have serious conversations about the 2025 team, because the 2025 team is going to impact the 2026 team. Bloom has conversations with manager Ali Marmol, and he has conversations with just about everyone down there because it makes sense to get to know people before you make decisions about whether to retain them or not in the jobs they have. What are you going to just it's the off season and all of a sudden you're going to start talking to people that are already here? I mean, Chaim Bloom's probably got some hires in mind from the outside, but he's also got to put together a new front office. And I'm sure there's a couple people there that he's seriously interested in, because the Cardinals do have a couple good people down there, at least, right? It's just that the guy running it isn't very good. So, let me give you an example. And this, to me, is the latest telltale sign of Bloom's influence, even though he's a ghost. You don't see him, you don't hear him. He's got presence, though. You can kind of tell that he's there. Here's what I'm talking about. If you're Randy Flores, who runs the Cards draft and I think does a good job, I do think that he could use some guidance on certain things, because the Cardinals are in this, as you know, and I have to tell you all, year after year after year, drafting pitchers who pitch to contact, polished college pitchers who have some good things going for them, except the ability to strike people out, right? And the Cardinals are way behind on that. So if you are Randy Flores and you were getting ready for the 2025 draft, and you jump into that draft without having a deep understanding and recognition of Bloom's philosophy, which will be in operation starting in the fall. Well, how incredibly dumb would that be? Well, I'll just go in here and draft these players, and if Chaim Bloom doesn't like it, I guess we'll try again next year. I mean, seriously, my friends. So when you hear one of the lemmings in the media say, "Oh, no, Bloom's got nothing to do with any of that." My goodness, this is not that hard to figure out. Randy Flores ain't going to, with Chaim Bloom, like literally weeks from taking over, right? Chaim Bloom is, Randy Flores, who wants to keep his job, and he's pretty good at it. He ain't going to go into the 2025 draft without checking in with Chaim Bloom and talking about philosophy. And is there something we need to change about the type of player we select? If Randy Flores did it, and I am convinced he did it, well, then that just reaffirms that he's a smart guy. Bloom's going to be calling the shots. His vision of what the Cardinals need to build a better baseball team, especially maybe in the composition of their pitching staff, the starting pitching staff, which has been a problem, an ongoing problem for years because they're always trying to plug in gaps. You don't go into the 2025 draft without understanding Bloom's long-term vision and making selections accordingly. And you know why I know that Bloom had some influence here? Because all of a sudden, Flores and his staff drafted all of these hard-throwing, high-velocity, strikeout punch, swing and miss guys, pitchers who offer a new dimension to their pitching in this year's draft. They concentrated on those guys, and they didn't draft one or two of them. They drafted about 4 or 5 of them. And this represented a huge philosophical change from where the Cardinals have been. It was long overdue. And if you don't think this decision to change the way the Cardinals evaluate and select pitchers had a lot to do with Bloom's thinking on this, come on now, you're smarter than that. This was not a random development. Oh, it's just a coincidence. No, he may be a ghost. You can't see him, you can't hear him, but you can kind of know he's there. And there are times this season where I know that Chaim Bloom has been in the middle of this stuff. All right, number 3 on my watch list, Ryan Helsley. I have no idea if Mozeliak will trade him or keep him. I'm going to say it again. He should have traded him last offseason when Helsley's value was sky high coming off a career season. So I don't know what Mo's going to do, and we'll find out. Here's what I do know. Helsley ain't the same closer that dominated hitters with his amazing, sizzling, nasty fastball slider combination in 2024. Long story short, quick facts. Helsley converted 92.5% of his save opportunities last season. That rate has dropped to 79% this season. His strikeout rate is down for the 3rd straight year. His walk rate is up from last season. His hard hit rate from 2024 to now has increased by an alarming 10%. The exit velocity against him is way up. The swing and miss rate is down. His walks and hits allowed per 9 innings is way up. He's in the bottom 15% of major league pitchers in fastball value. Hitters have punished Helsley's 4-seam fastball this season for a 4.19 average and a 5.48 slugging percentage. He ain't the same guy. Now, there will be a trade market for Helsley because multiple contenders are looking for an impact reliever. There tends to be a shortage of these fellows, right? But with Helsley's performance being off kilter in 2025, I would assume his trade value has suffered a bit anyway. But when the Cardinals return from the All-Star break, they'll have 11 games to play before the deadline. And I'm assuming that he'll get 2 or 3 chances to, show what he's got. And all the scouts from other teams are going to be watching. It would be really beneficial for the Cardinals if Helsley could come out after the All-Star break and blow away some hitters with 2 or 3 really dominant saves reminiscent of last year. If he can do that before this year's deadline. I have 7 more to go on my watch list. I'm going to pick up the pace and speed it up when I return a little bit. But first, I'm pleased to talk about DraftKings and their daily pick 6 game. If you're following baseball, because after all, it is the baseball season, then put that sharp mind to work and take a shot at winning. You can win. You can win big cash prizes if you make the proper choices. But this daily pick six fantasy contest at DraftKings is a lot of fun, and you ought to give it a shot. And DraftKings pick six, you just focus on player stats. You select anywhere from 2 to 6 players. You choose whether the individual player will go higher or lower on a specific stat line set for his next game by DraftKings. Yeah, seriously, it's that simple at pick six. And it's a lot of fun, as I mentioned, but it's more fun if you kind of jump in and take your best shot at winning, right? Pick six is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. Easy to get started. The DraftKings app is excellent, and it helps you with information to make your choices. So just download the DraftKings app and open an account, choose a sport, pick your players, and get in the game. New players at DraftKings get $50 in pick six credits instantly with just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app right now and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick Six credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
Okay, back to the watch list. 3 down, 7 to go. Fourth on my watch list, Matthew Liberatore. In his first full opportunity as starting pitcher for the Cardinals in the major league level, he started off strong, but he's faded over time. In his first 10 starts, 2.73 ERA, 21.5% strikeout rate, and he allowed only 3 home runs in 59 innings. Remember those numbers. In his last 8 starts, Liberatore's got a 6.15 ERA. He's got his strikeout rate has really faded, 15.6%. I mean, that's even lower than Eric Fetty or Andre Palante and Miles Michaelis. Well, might be about the same as Michaelis, but the point is that's a strikeout rate that fits those guys. It doesn't fit where he was for the first 10 starts. And remember I told you that he allowed 3 home runs in 59 innings in his first 10 starts. Libby has been struck for 7 homers and only 41 innings in his last 8 starts. The Cardinals starting rotation has been terrible since May 30th, which, by the way, was exactly that day where Liberatore, after a really good string of starts, all of a sudden had a stinker down in Texas. And that's not a coincidence because since May 30th, the Cardinals starting pitching ERA ranks 28th in the majors. And you're not going to realistically improve that unless Liberatore can return to form and combine with Sonny Gray to give the Cardinals at least 2 very good starters. This rotation began to deteriorate, as soon as Liberatore lost his effectiveness. It would probably help if, I don't know, the president of baseball operations, stopped standing in front of a bus to block McGreevy's trip to St. Louis to join the Cardinals rotation. My goodness. And I could put Michael McGreevy on the list, but I don't see the point. There's nothing to expect from McGreevy as long as Mozeliak is, in fact, blocking him from becoming part of this major league rotation. We can talk about McGreevy when he's put in the rotation to stay, right? All right, number 5 on my watch list, Lars Nootbaar. Been through this, did a video a 3 weeks ago saying he's a great trade candidate because they got to thin their left-handed bat supply, and they got an outfielder on the way. They got more on the way, and you got to make some decisions about who you're going to keep beyond 2025. I think he's a good trade candidate because other teams love the StatCast metrics. They're tantalized by that. But Nootbaar is also an enigma. The injury bug is still an issue. He's back on the IL again, and the Cardinals have other options for left field in 2026, including rising star prospect Nathan Church. If Mozeliak is opportunistic, he'll make Nootbaar available for a trade and make a deal if the return being offered is appealing. But that's why Mo's a key. If someone's trying to get Nootbaar real cheap, and you are convinced that Chaim Bloom could get more for him in the offseason when there's more teams that might be looking, right, instead of the trade deadline, well, you hold on to Nootbaar. But in the offseason, his value could go up based on how he ends 2025. He's a key figure on my watch list. Number 6 on the watch list, always Nolan Gorman. In his last 37 games, Gorman has slugged .509 and put up an 845 OPS. His plate discipline numbers have improved. The chase rate way down, swing and miss rate way down. Strikeouts still a little high, but they're still down by 6-7% since last year. Since May the 26th, Gorman ranks second to Alec Burleson among regular Cardinals with an offensive performance that's 37 above the league average based on weighted runs created plus. But with Gorman, the question is always there. Can he keep this up? Is this just one of those streaks where he looks great and then he just kind of vanishes and he can't do anything right at the plate? Can he keep it up, or is this just kind of another mirage type thing? We'll find out. I've got 4 more to go on my watch list, and I'm going to get to them in my third and final segment after I tell you fine gentlemen about Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a big blue dose of power that can help you raise your game in your intimacy with your partner. If you are slumping at the plate and struggling to come through in the clutch, in a manner of speaking, well, you could use a boost. No more bunting, no more like slap hitting. Time to hit home runs. And Blue Chew can help you deliver the long ball. With Blue Chew, the motto is simple. I just like to say it because it's fun. Chew it and do it. That's it. Blue Chew can give you an instant offense lift that leads to a more pleasurable and fulfilling life with your significant other, and that's a win-win for both of you. When it's go time, Blue Chew can get you ready, and that applies to men of all ages. I'm in the 60-plus category, and I appreciate what Blue Chew has done for me. So that's why I'm saying you should give them a shot to do the same thing for you and for your significant other. Blue Chew is the original brand of chewable tablets for enhanced intimacy. It's time. When it's time for you to get back in the game, and I assume it's time for you to get back in the game, you can get back in the game with better equipment for success. You're going to get your first month of Blue Chew free. You're just a few clicks away, and it's easy to get started. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you are approved, you will receive your prescription within days. That's it. It's all done online. It's simple. It's private, and you will find out what other men already know. Blue Chewing is believing. You got a special deal for you. Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use the code Bernie, the promo code Bernie. Just pay $5 shipping. That's promo code Bernie. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring The Bernie Show. Okay, now, time for the third and final watch list segment for the Cardinals in the second half. Number 7 on the watch list. This one may surprise you. I will explain it. This one may surprise you. Number 7 on the watch list, Masyn Winn. What? Masyn Winn? Yeah, I said Masyn Winn. I know I'm interested in watching him, and I have a reason to include him. Winn faded over the final month of the 2024 season, which was, really a good rookie season. But he faded offensively over the final month of the season, and that set off kind of a shift in his offensive performance. In his last 100 games, going back to late last season, Winn's about 14% below league average offensively. Before that, he was well above average. He was about 15% above average or so, about the standard rate for offense, the average rate for offense in the majors. This season, he got off to a pretty good start, and then all of a sudden, it goes down again. This season, since the end of May, Winn has hit only 232. His 274 on-base percentage is terrible, and his slugging percentage is a weak 316. His overall performance since the end of May is 33% below the league average offensively. Now, Winn's defense is very good, and he's still only 23, and sure, he can improve offensively, but we're seeing some things materialize, like all of a sudden he's not hitting left-handed hitters very well. Pitchers have adjusted. He's not hitting for as much power. I'm just saying, and you got to remember something. The Cardinals have played top prospect JJ Wetherholt at shortstop a lot this season, and that down in the minors, and that could be an indication of at least a little concern over Winn's trajectory on offense. Is Winn a potential trade chip? See, that would be the kind of thing where you're going against expectations to try to do something creative and bold, right? Do I think he's a potential trade chip? Well, first of all, I guess you could say anybody is, but in his case, I doubt it. But you know who knows about that? And the guy that I think would be making the decision if it ever gets to that point, that fella Chaim Bloom. I wanted to put it out there because I really want to watch Masyn Winn's offensive performance over the final 65 games. All right, number 8 on the watch list. Since we mentioned him, let's circle back to Wetherholt. Combining his stats at AA Springfield and AAA Memphis, Wetherholt has a 303 average, an exceptional 425 on base percentage, and he is slugging close to 500. This left-handed hitter, the 7th overall pick in the draft, has shown his talent in multiple ways. He hits the ball hard. He hits pitches to off field. It's hard to defend him because he's not a straight pull hitter. He's a line drive machine. His home run power is starting to come on. He has exquisite plate discipline with more walks than strikeouts this season. His strikeout rate's only 15%. His walk rate's about 16.5%. And the other thing about him, for a left-handed hitter, he hits left-handed pitchers pretty well. He's better against right-handed pitchers, you would expect. But this isn't a guy you have to platoon to keep him away from lefty starters. As Baseball Prospectus wrote about Wetherholt's profile in terms of how it applies to the major leagues, they wrote this yesterday. Quote, Wetherholt should strafe doubles and compete for batting titles. It sounds good to me, right? I asked on KMOS, I asked Wetherholt if he thinks he's similar to anyone. And he mentioned Robinson Cano. He liked the way when Robinson Cano was really good, Wetherholt just loved his swing. And so that's a great looking swing. And I want to try to swing like that. I asked him about something, Wetherholt, a comp, because one of my friends and colleagues at KMOX, Kevin Wheeler, had mentioned this. We're talking about Wetherholt at his ceiling, right? He's not going to be a ceiling right away. And I asked him, I said, hey, one of our guys here at KMOX, JJ, said that when he sees you, he sees a guy that if you start to reach your ceiling, you can be Chase Utley. And that's a pretty high compliment because Chase Utley, in my opinion, should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Just look at him up at Baseball Reference and you'll see stuff that you probably didn't remember in terms of being how strong he was with power and everything else, before his age decline set in. So when I told JJ Wetherholt that, and I said, what do you think about that? Do you remember Chase Utley? Do you think there are some similarities? And he started laughing. And JJ Holt told me, and I'm just going to paraphrase, he said, dude, it's so funny you should say that because when I was playing, MLB video games, and we would do a draft or whatever, he said one of the first guys I'd draft every single time was Chase Utley because I loved the way he played the game. I loved as a middle infielder. I loved the way he stroked the ball. I loved his plate approach. I loved everything about him. And in my games I played on video, I wanted to make sure I had Chase Utley. So we weren't dreaming or fantasizing in a stupid way when we talked about Chase Utley, because Wetherholt kind of sees it that way too. And he knows he's got to work hard to get to that level. But this kid works hard, man. He's confident, but he is really smart at the plate. All right. I've gone 1 through 9 already, unless I skipped one. All right, let's go. Let's finish this thing up. Finally, number 10 on the watch list, Jordan Walker. I have to include him because he's having an absolutely dreadful season. I can't rationalize it anymore. Yeah, you can say, well, he's young. Yes, of course, he is young. I get it. I'm not a Walker hater. I'm more patient than a lot of people are. But this is his 3rd major league season, and Walker's numbers have never been this poor, not even close. Just by using adjusted OPS, here is his yearly score on offense, because he had a real good rookie year considering his age and inexperience. He was 13% above league average offensively as a rookie. He fell to 29% below average in his second season offensively. And now at the All-Star break in 2025, he's 41% below the league average offensively. And this is his third season. Now, something is wrong here because, yeah, you would expect inconsistency, but you also would expect by a third season, and he had a lot of opportunities so far, you would expect to see him figuring some stuff out by now, having it figured out by now, and starting to get some traction in his career. Instead of getting better, he continues to get worse, and he's also relapsed defensively in 2025 after a positive start out there in right field over the first 5-6 weeks of the season. For Walker, it seems that the at-bats from the Cardinals are going to be scarce over the final 2+ months because they're going to play Herrera and at DH, and Gorman's going to be in the line. They got to want to keep Gorman in the lineup, and that means maybe Donovan some more in the outfield, Burleson some more in the outfield. And if they're trying to win games, Ali Marmol said it, at some point you get to a point where it's less about the runway and more about giving the playing time to the people that have earned it. And that's where I think Jordan Walker will lose out. I can't say, listen, I don't see into the future. I can't say that 100%, but it's hard to imagine where a scenario, except there's some injuries, where he would get a lot of at-bats. And, in fact, they've kept him down in the minors on a rehab assignment when it could have brought him back already. I tell you what, at the end of the season, I keep going back to this name. Chaim Bloom can decide what's next for Jordan Walker. All right, that's my list. I added a little ad lib in there about JJ Wetherholt and Chase Utley. That's my list. Please add to it. Please add to it if you like by posting a comment. And please subscribe. Please hit the like button. And thanks for supporting my work. I very much appreciate it. And thanks, of course, to DraftKings for presenting Pick Six and the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. Have a wonderful day.